pay attention, get your deal done now while the market is still very strong. Brooklyn has just been on fire over the last couple of years, so perhaps everybody in Brooklyn is just catching their breath. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market, where I take a look at the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. I do it because I want you to be informed. It never hurts when you're a consumer to be informed. Welcome to this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. We're going to be taking a look at what happened last week. This would be for the week of April 24th to May 1st. We're going to be looking at what happened in the luxury market, the Manhattan market, and the Brooklyn market. We're going to get started, as we always do, with the luxury market. There were 27 contracts signed last week for properties priced at $4 million and above. That is 5 fewer than the previous week. Condos outsold co-ops, and there were 6 townhouses in the mix. Interestingly, there was a bit of a pop in the trophy end of the luxury market. 11 trophy properties priced at $10 million and above went into contract. That is the largest number of trophy properties since Christmas week of 2021 to go into contract, when 13 were sold. We're going to talk now about the number one contract for last week. It was W Penthouse 34A at 500 West 18th Street. It was asking $28 million. It was reduced from $34 million when it started marketing last summer. The unit has a little over 5,700 square feet. It includes 5 bedrooms and 5.5 bathrooms. It features a 48 by 27 foot great room. It opens on 293 square foot loggia. It's in a condo called One Highline, a project with 2 buildings, a condo and a hotel. The amenities include a fitness center, a 75-foot lap pool, spa treatment rooms, a golf simulator, children's playroom, private dining, a games lounge, and a garage. Services offered are in the adjacent hotel, which is part of this project. The number 2 contract was a townhouse at 45 East 74th Street. It was asking $26.5 million. It was raised from $24.8 million when it was listed in January. This 5-story limestone house has 9,000 square feet. It includes 6 bedrooms, 6.5 bathrooms, and an elevator. It also has a garden, 4 terraces, and a rooftop terrace. It has a fitness room and a swimming pool in the basement. Annual real estate taxes, if you're curious, are a little over $186,000. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at the quick stats for the luxury market for last week. The total weekly asking price sales volume, 284,790,000. Average asking price, 10,547,778. Median asking price, 7,900,000. Average discount from original ask to last asking price, 6%. Average days on the market, 406. Any questions, please post them below. Now let's take a look at what happened in Manhattan last week. Okay, so now for that 1 week look in Manhattan, we see the supply was down 437. That's down 6% for the week. Contract signed 205, down a little over 11%. Off market, 130 properties off market last week in Manhattan, down 1.5%. If we step back and look at this for about a month's look, we see the supply 1,856, that's down 6.5%. Contract signed 901, that's down 22.3%. Off market 499, that's up almost 15%. Sellers, pay close attention to what's going on in this market pulse chart. You see, while we are still in a neutral market, we're moving downward a bit. That's because while the supply and the demand are still somewhat in balance, we are seeing a kind of a creeping up of the inventory. And if you take a look at this liquidity pace chart, again, this is this moving 30-day window of contract activity for the Manhattan market. We see that we're at 901. That is it's still, pretty good, but you can see that we are moving down. And that is probably a signal to sellers, to all of us, that, the really robust days of this spring market could well be behind us. So sellers, you really want to be paying attention to this and trying to get your deal done. Let's take a look at the supply chart. The Manhattan inventory, as I mentioned, continues to tick a little higher. The demand, even though we've seen a little increase, it's not super wowing. And so will it continue to rise? We have to keep an eye on it. We know that historically, by the time we get to the end of May, we're likely to see the buyer demand start to taper off a bit. But right now, we still have a few weeks that we should be able to count on of this active spring market. The weekly new listings dropped by nearly 25%, but they are still within the normal range for this time of year. Contract signed, that activity also dropped a little bit, but it remained ahead of weekly new listings, which is helping to keep this market in balance. But if we take a look, this is not bad, but let's take a look at this Manhattan net inventory. Again, if you take a look at the very tail end, you will see that the inventory, if you look at the little green box at the very end, you will see that now we are starting to see the inventory rising just a little wee bit. This is something for sellers to be keeping an eye on. This may mean that the window of opportunity for sellers may be closing. Again, historically, we know that June, July, August, these are often the slower months for us, and we are kind of seeing that we are moving into the territory of rising inventory. So sellers, pay attention, get your deal done now while the market is still very strong. And as I said, we are still in a very balanced and neutral market, supply and demand being basically holding kind of equal to each other. That's it for the Manhattan market. Now we're going to take a look at what's going on in Brooklyn. For Brooklyn is a slightly different story from Manhattan because, as I mentioned to you or been talking about, Brooklyn has not really seen this spring market be very hasn't seen a lot of inventory, haven't seen a lot of buyer activity. And, we're continuing to see that going on in Brooklyn. If we take a look at the 1 week view of supply, we see that the supply is 908, down 6.6%, contracts signed, down 4.2%, 632, and the off-market properties, 224, down little over 11% for the week. If we take a look at the 1 month market ticker for supply, 886, that's down 7.10%. Contract signed 600, down 11.6%, and off market 213, down almost 16%. So we see just kind of overall, just kind of a suppressed market in Brooklyn. The market pulse, if we look at that just in this way, very much like Manhattan, we are very much holding in this kind of neutral place. If we look at this 30-day moving window of contract activity for Brooklyn, we see 632 contracts over this 30-day window. Again, we're kind of looking at a very lackluster liquidity for Brooklyn. Hard to say if we're going to ever really move out of that. Brooklyn was so on fire in these recent years, and it may be that we're not going to see a super active selling season for the spring in Brooklyn on the part of either the sellers or the buyers. And it's hard to say, is what's driving this? Is it that the buyers just aren't there really, or is it that the sellers aren't putting properties out and so therefore the buyers aren't there? There's no way to know. Right now it's just hanging in this neutral place. Let's take a look at this supply chart. We do have increased supply, but it's just not it's not huge. We are seeing it ticking up. Let's see what that does to the demand. The demand is kind of ticking down a little bit. We'll see if that continues. The new listings for the week fell by nearly 13%, and it continues to lag. When you compare it to the previous years, as I mentioned before, contracts fell for the week by nearly 13%. It's kind of the same as the weekly new listings. Again, we're kind of seeing this imbalance, supply and demand. If we take a look at the Brooklyn new inventory, the difference between Manhattan, let's say, and Brooklyn is that we're not seeing kind of the new inventory beginning to show in the green. In fact, in Brooklyn, it's kind of in the red still, marginally. It's kind of a wash. So let's see what happens. We still have a few weeks left of an active spring market, so we need to see where this is all going to go. Brooklyn definitely is a bit of a different story than Manhattan. Like I say, Brooklyn has just been on fire over the last couple of years, so perhaps everybody in Brooklyn is just catching their breath. So my takeaways for buyers and sellers for this week. As an overview, you probably were in May now. Sellers try to get your deal done by the end of May, meaning, if you're negotiating with a buyer, try to wrap it up, try to get your deal done. If you're sitting on the market and you're not getting the offers or the showings that you want, make your price adjustment, try to get your deal done. Try not to be hanging around in June, July, and August when a lot of buyers leave the market. Buyers, if you see something that you want and you really love it and you don't want to lose it, then I guess it's obvious to say, then you probably should be jumping in and trying to see if you can make a deal with the seller. If, however, you're really not seeing anything that you like and you feel you can wait, then you may want to wait until June, July, August, because there could be an opportunity for you to have a little more negotiability when you don't have as much competition. That is it for this week's look at the state of the New York City real estate market. As always, I would like to thank the Olshan Report and Urban Digs for their amazing reporting. The work that they do helps me to help you to make great decisions. I'll be back next week with the very latest news on the state of the New York City real estate market. In the meantime, take care.